Okay, I think now you can hear me. Let me know in the comment, little live section, live chat over there if you can hear me. I am, Jesus, that's bright. I'm going onto the Patreon now. Patreon is not a good way to like communicate with people because like no one's just regularly checking Patreon ever. Even if you give on Patreon, you're not regularly checking it, but whatever. Hello, everybody. We all say something as soon as we can hear. Okay, you all can hear. That's excellent news. Makes my heart warm. Oh, man, that was so stressful. You have no idea. One of my buddies called me like a half hour before, like the time that I dedicated to setting this all up. One of my buddies called me and we were planning out something. So it was like kind of an important call. And I was like, ah, can't do this, but can't do that. You know what I mean? Shouldn't be doing this, but I can't do that. That's what it was. So anyway, what's up, everybody? It's your boy, John Solo, coming at you from a different angle than usual. Instead of facing that way, going that way, I'm right here, and I'm ready to chat. So what's up? I think that we'll just start this off by saying that there's like there's definitely a few people in here that are not supposed to be, but that's okay because the more the merrier, and that's my bad. I just like, okay, I can set up YouTube live streams pretty easy. I know how to do that. I mean, I haven't done it in a really long time. And I think that maybe there's now evidence that I cannot do it. So maybe I'm talking out of my ass. But the problem was I started setting the event up through Patreon. For whatever reason, I thought that like Patreon might have its own system for doing this because I know so many people do Patreon exclusive live streams. I didn't realize that it was so many of them were doing it through YouTube basically. But starting to create the event through Patreon, never doing that again because the Patreon interface, kind of a joke. YouTube interface, also kind of a joke, but less of a joke. Neither of them are funny, I'll tell you that. So what's the shirt? The shirt is my Hercules shirt, which is something that you should definitely check out at teespring.com/stores/solo/ no, not slash, dash storefront. That's what it should be. All right, so what up, fellas and females? My name is John Solo, and let's get this live stream started. I think that we'll start it off with just questions, if you want to do that, if you got some. And I don't know, what's the poster behind me? There's a poster, that one. It's just a tapestry of a guy, of a cosmic astronaut surfer. And there's one that you guys don't see that I have. It's like a super zen meditating guy with a bunch of energy around him, a bunch of cosmic energy, you know? That's what that is. You're so epic. You're so epic. What are you talking about? I'm so epic. That's nice of you. What does it mean by John shot first? Asks Ramakrishnan Manikandan. How was that pronunciation? I hate when people mispronounce my name, and I feel bad when I mispronounce others, but I'm an uncultured swine, so what are you going to do? So what does John shot first mean? Basically, it's a reference to A New Hope in Star Wars. It's funny because like the channel, since it started out as a YouTube channel, as it started out as a channel about Star Wars and Disney, when I changed my name to John Solo, I got comments all the time saying John shot first because it's a Star Wars reference. And over time, as I've deviated away from the Star Wars content, the comments have gone from just people commenting John shot first to what does John shot first mean? Where does that come from? What's the origins of that? Basically, it's just something people used to comment when I did Star Wars stuff. And what it's referencing is a scene in the first Star Wars movie that ever came out, A New Hope, came out in 1977. And one of the characters, Han Solo, he's being confronted by a bounty hunter who's being paid to kill him. And basically this bounty hunter gets what appears to be the jump on him. He manages to turn the tables, and he just when he knows that the conversation has reached its stopping point, he blasts the bounty hunter under the table and kills him. And he's like, "Hey, sorry about the mess, big cat." That's what he says to the bartender. So Han just shot this bounty hunter and went on about his day. But then when they released the special edition of the movies, people were like, or they made the change that he got shot. Or no, that Greedo, the bounty hunter, shot at him before he shot. And people were really mad about that. And they're like, Greedo didn't shoot first. Han shot first. Han shot first. And now it's John shot first. So that's the origins of that. Ever found a theory that was actually so disturbing or boring you just said, F it? No, not really. I've never found a theory that was so disturbing. The more disturbing, the better. I obviously don't really do theories anymore because they got really repetitive and boring. And it seemed like there was maybe 3 or 4 channels on YouTube that were actually getting the traffic from doing the theories and that had sucked away all of the attention from myself. So it wasn't worth the competition, and I wasn't having enough fun with it that I felt like it was something I should pursue. That wasn't what I wanted to do with my life. It's like, hey, life's got to have a purpose, and just overanalyzing cartoons and art and movies for shit that the creators didn't even intend is not what I want to do with my life. It's fun. It's a fun pastime, and I really enjoyed it. I genuinely loved it, actually, for the first year and a half that I was doing it. But at a certain point, I was just like not feeling it anymore, and I didn't feel like I was very good at it either. I'm not one who's like particularly good at like abstract thought. So a lot of what my theories were like a seed that somebody else planted. Like, what if the person meant this? What if the person meant that? And I would just take this little idea and I would expand on it as much as I could, and try to make the theory my own. And that's definitely what I did for like after I started getting way more attention for the theories, like Pixar theories and Star Wars theories and stuff. But I couldn't just sit there and watch a movie and look at it from a theorist's perspective. I got too engrossed in the movie itself and what was happening in it for me to be like, maybe. So yeah, Mess Up Origins is way more fun because I get to look at it with a more analytical perspective and not a like weird black market perspective, I guess is what I would call it. I don't know why I would call it that, but that's what I'm going to. It's because I can't think of a better word. What poster are you talking about that's behind me? Oh, wait, no, that's an old question. I was like, are you asking that again? What kind of YouTube videos do you watch? That's a good question. I watch a lot of like educational stuff for the most part. It's not all educational by any means, but like a couple of channels that I've been really enjoying lately. Like I really like listening to just lectures about psychology, philosophy, literature, stuff like that. And anything that I feel like is adding value to my life. Like some other people who make content about movies, like Lindsay Ellis, I really enjoy because she provides a whole fresh perspective on movies. That a lot of them are like movies that I really enjoy, like, or not enjoy, but have some sort of connection to in one way or another, like The Hobbit or the live action Beauty and the Beast or those kinds of movies. I really like her. Charisma on Command is another good channel that I'm a huge fan of. I don't know if you guys heard of them, but they just give you tips on how to be more charismatic and friendly and get people to like you more, because not necessarily that I need that. I'd say I'm a pretty socially adept person, but, you know, got to figure out if I've got any other idiosyncrasies that I'm not aware of, you know? It's a lot of self-reflecting. And then I listen to a fuck ton of podcasts, like the Congratulations podcast with Chris D'Elia, the H3 podcast, the Joe Rogan podcast, any Jordan Peterson lectures. I watch PewDiePie's content, basically all of his content where he's not just playing video games, but like his meme reviews and his apology reviews and his news, Pew News. I Love Pew News, all that shit. Philip DeFranco's great. I could just pull up my subscription box. You would think I would just do that to answer this question. Boogie2988, I love. That's my boy. Would love to give him a hug one day. That's the goal. Cinemassacre, Angry Video Game Nerd, iDubbbz, Marquez Brownlee's great. Watso and Seamus are obviously great creators that I love and support. All right. Can we see any Avenger theory in the future? Nah, definitely not. What advice do you have for people that are trying to make a career for themselves? What motivated you to get started and keep moving to the incredible success you have now? Well, thank you very much. That's very nice of you. Very nice of you. I would say what I did, so like when I graduated college, I found myself in a really weird place where, like, you know, because with the way college and like education works in America, I'm just saying America because that's what I've experienced. It's probably like this in a lot of other places, but you're like on a track. You're on railroad tracks from kindergarten to high school, okay? And if you're fortunate enough that you get to go to college, that you can either afford it or that you got a scholarship or whatever, the opportunities presented itself, then that just extends the railroad track a little bit further. And then when you graduate, you're just suddenly in the real world. And at the time when I graduated, I was like, I want to do YouTube forever. This is going to be my thing. So it's time for me to go ham, dive into YouTube. And I didn't really enjoy it. Or like I realized that I was having a way harder time grinding away and pumping out content than I had expected. And I was just like, you know, I'm not enjoying the theories. I got a kind of a shit degree because I thought I was going to do YouTube forever, and I just wanted a degree. And it wasn't like my skills. It's not like I wasn't intelligent enough or skilled enough to do other jobs, but I didn't have the qualifications. And especially back then, I mean, it was only 2 years ago, but it's really, really hard to explain to employers why YouTube is such great experience and all of the work that goes into it and how those skills can be translated to other things. So I had to take a minute to reflect, a minute, way longer than that. But I had to take a while to reflect to be like, what are the things that I enjoy and what are the things that I'm good at? And I think that that's what everybody needs to do. And it might sound like an oversimplification, but like when I started doing YouTube, so like around January of last year, I want to say it was, right? No, January of the year before. So over 2 years ago now, I had made this commitment. It was after reading Jordan Peterson's book, that in listening to his lectures, that I was going to be honest, 100% honest, as much as I could. Obviously, there's flaws. I don't ever really outright lie, I would say. I'm very honest and sometimes to a fault blunt person. But in addition to being honest with others, I realized I needed to be honest with myself. And I was like, if I'm taking an honest look at who I am, what I'm good at, and what I like, where do I go from here? Because it's either I figure out where I'm going to go from here or I live on the street. Those are my options. And I knew I was good at YouTube. I was like, I've built this audience. I might not like the content that I'm currently making, but I'm I'm clearly capable of building an audience and making something that other people enjoy. And I don't know. The more honest I was, I'm going kind of all over the place here, but I knew that about myself, and I was like, if I am being honest, what are if I'm being honest, as I started to be honest, there we go, I felt like things were falling into place. I was like, I'm going to do YouTube and I'm going to just put 100% effort into it. I'm going to find the content that I like to make. That was when I started the Messed Up Origins. And I was applying for jobs in the background of that, but I am going to put an honest effort into this. I am going to, if there's like a joke I could make, or a picture I can throw in here, or a fancy edit I can make to add some humor, or make it a little more punchy, I need to do this. Like, I need to put some honest effort into this, because 1% better over and over and over again adds up real fast. Like, if every one of these decisions where I'm like, should I make this edit? Should I make this joke? If that makes the content 1% better, you do that 10 times, 10% better content, that's going to add up. So I feel like you need to self-reflect and just figure out what your passions are. And the reason I say honest, the reason I put so much emphasis on honesty is because, like, I've been to, we've all walked down a public mall where there's some guy peddling his rap CD, or somebody sees a viral tweet or somebody has a viral tweet and they're like, check out my SoundCloud, this is my chance. And it's like, okay, I get that you're passionate about making music. Maybe you are very knowledgeable about music, but maybe you're not actually good at making the music. Maybe you're not supposed to be the rapper. Maybe you're supposed to be the producer or the agent or the something like that. So figure out what your passion is, figure out what you're good at, and then try to find a position within your passion that you can apply the things that you're good at, Like, I'm good at storytelling. I'm not good at talking off the cuff, clearly, as you can see, but I'm good at storytelling. And I figured that out more and more. I've always loved telling stories. I didn't really know necessarily that I was good at it until I started this series, but as the video started to go viral, I was like, oh, this might be, I always thought I was a talentless piece of shit. Maybe this is my talent. So, yeah, that's what I would say. Sorry for that real walk-around answer. I wish I could edit it down and post, but that's what it is. What's going on with your upcoming surgeries? Any news if you feel comfortable? So, yeah, I just tweeted this. Super, super good news. My surgery got approved by insurance. I can't even say it without smiling and like getting chills down my whole body. It's crazy, but my surgery got approved. You guys have no idea how, I was supposed to get the surgery back in December. So since December, I have been sitting here waiting. Like, whenever I do, like, I have to do this physical therapy, and whenever I finally get to set up this surgery again, even if I set it up, it needs to be approved again. And nothing I can do outside of just constantly beg and plead for them to give me a chance and to approve it. Like, that was all I had. And it was like, if it doesn't get approved, I'm going to be in pain for way longer, and I don't know how long. I had a lot of things riding on this. So it just feels good. Got approved. The surgery is going to be on June 3rd. I'm going to be making a video going over all of these details, but your Patreon members, so I'm breaking it down now. But my surgery is on June 4th. I fly home on June 3rd, and I'll be out of town for about 2.5 weeks, 17 days. And I will be working on content while I'm gone. I am hoping to have at least 2 videos come out while I'm gone as well. One of them will be a Messed Up Origin. One of them will be a different kind of video. I think, I'm just going to tell you guys, since this is exclusive after all, what I've got planned. But you know how people are doing these tier lists lately? I thought it would be interesting if I did a tier list of Disney parents. Wouldn't that be cool? Like the quality of Disney parents. Who's a good parent? Who's a shitty one? Going to be incorporating the ones who died, the steps, Anna and Elsa's shitty parents, all of that. So I think that'll be really fun. So that'll be one tier. That's one of the ideas that I have planned. I think I'm going to do I will be doing another Messed Up Origin if I have time. And then, yeah, so I'm actually not in a whole lot of pain right now, which is pretty cool. I'm in better shape than I ever have been, or than I have been since I got hurt. On like a scale of 1 to 10, my pain's at like a 2 most of the time. That is to say, that doesn't mean that I'm not adjusting the way that my whole life operates to revolve around this injury, because that's kind of why it feels good, is because I'm doing all my stretches, exercises. I'm not sitting for too long. I'm not laying for too long. I'm not standing for too long. It's like all this stuff that I have to balance that's driving me nuts. But the good news is I'm not in pain. So yeah. Sucks that I'm going to be out of town for 2.5 weeks. I'm on a personal level, I'm really pumped for it, because it's been pretty hard living in Florida, honestly, in terms of friendships and making friends and all that shit. Because when you move to a new state and you're self-employed, how are you going to meet people? Well, you might normally meet people by going to the gym or going to an MMA class or hiking, meeting people on a fucking trail, shit like that. But especially when I first got here, I didn't feel like I was up to do anything. Like, I was in so much pain all the time that I pretty much just had to work. If I wasn't working, I was laying on the couch, laying in bed, or stretching, trying to play video games. But like, I couldn't even play video games without being in pain, because I would be sitting there playing video games and I'm like, oh, I've been sitting for 5 minutes too long and now I've got sciatica going down my legs, you know? So on a personal note, I'm really pumped to go to Illinois, because I've got all my homies there. I am getting surgery, but I've got like plans with people to meet up with people, catch up with friends. And that'll be really nice, because it's pretty much right now, it's just all systems go all the time. I've been working on the channel and trying to get myself into a position where I can make videos when I'm gone, where I can have some content ready for when I'm gone, and then come back, play catch up, leave again, because then I've got VidCon to go to, followed by a family vacation, so I'll be gone for another 2 weeks, and then I'm back for good. And then I've got the move to California to figure out. So it's just one thing after another, you know? Life is a TV show. Like, you know how you watch TV, you watch Friends, you watch anything, really? I say Friends because I'm like in that age group right now. But man, when you keep taking chances like this, like I'm currently doing, and you keep planning ahead, like life actually almost does feel like it's a TV show, because you just got one story arc after another. Like, I'm pumped to close this chapter on the back injury. Very fucking pumped for that to be done. And then it's on to the next one. Then there's a small road to recovery. I'll have like, you know, I'm in really good shape right now, according to my physical therapist and my doctor. I'm in better shape right now than most people are when they get the surgery. So my recovery time is supposed to be a little bit less than what most people would expect. The typical recovery time is about 3 months. And at least, okay, so that's not true. It is true, but 3 months of physical therapy, but that doesn't mean that like I'm bedridden outside of physical therapy for 3 months. That just means 3 months of being careful. So yeah. Moving on to the next question. Question for you, John. I'll try to shorten it. What do you think of the current age of censorship and gentrification that is going on all over the media? I find it wrong, and it makes things inorganic. If you follow me on Twitter, which I'm assuming if you're in this chat, you probably do, you would probably know that I'm very sick of this age of censorship. I've always been somebody who liked to be too edgy for you, in terms of like, I like to make dark humor jokes, and I like to speak bluntly for the sake of efficiency and here's my, like, if you speak bluntly, back in the day when you spoke bluntly, it was, here's what I mean, just being direct about it. Now if you speak bluntly, it's like, what did he mean by that? He said this, but this is the word he used in that sentence, and back in the day, this word used to mean that. So does he really mean that? Did he know that before he said it? Like, fuck off, you know? And here's the thing. It's like I'm not trying to get political on here, of course, but like I lean about as far left as they come. I don't think that but I don't think that what the left is doing now is justified. I think it's way too hardcore. I think that the whole concept of free speech is so you can talk to people with differing ideas than your own, so they can either reveal themselves to be somebody that you disagree with and you personally don't have to associate with, or you can learn something from them, right? That's why we talk to people. Two of the reasons why we talk to people with different ideas. And now it's like, this person said this, so no one should talk to them. Like, my feelings are hurt, so no one should talk to them. And then you combine, so like that's how it all started. And like, that's how my college was. Like, I went to a liberal arts college, and I saw this shit grow from the seed that it was in 2014 to where it is today. I've been watching it very closely. And it's like, I hate the censorship. I hate the stifling of other people's opinions that disagree with you. It's a big mess. I have, it's hard for me to articulate my thoughts without coming across, I think, as, I don't know, I'm trying to tiptoe around this subject to not irritate anyone on the right or anyone on the left. At this point, I am a left-leaning centrist. What that means to me personally is that I am a reasonable person, willing to hear out both sides, but I've heard a lot of evidence from the leftists and a lot of evidence from the rightists, from the, I'm not going to say alt-right because that's ridiculous, but like the far, far, far extreme right. I don't agree with either, okay? I'm in the middle. And I just want people to be able to talk without having to worry, you know? Like without words being taken out of context and people getting upset because they think something applied to them or they think a person meant something that they didn't. It's awful and it's scary because as somebody who's like talking in the public sphere and like sometimes about controversial things, like this next story that I'm going to be doing is Alibaba and the 40 Thieves, and I don't want to spoil anything that I'm talking about, but it's an interesting story because yeah, there we go. I just lost a bunch of viewers right there. Oh, they came back. I don't know. This is crazy. But it's an interesting story because like back in the day, there weren't that many, like there were for sure female heroes in stories. I've done plenty of stories where there was a girl protagonist, obviously. But this story is interesting because there's a slave, like the main hero of this story is a slave girl. And that's like not only like she's a female, so there's that, but she's a slave. And I think there should be more emphasis on the fact that she's a slave, somebody who's considered socially invisible, bottom tier social class. It's pretty cool that she was made the hero despite being a slave. And I feel like I wrote that into the script, but I had to find a way to talk about it where like, it's like, how much do I want to mention that she's also a woman? You know, like if I don't mention it, is somebody going to be like upset that I didn't give that enough attention? You know what I mean? And here's the thing is like, I don't think when it comes down to it, I don't think anybody would, but you never know nowadays. And like, I'm somebody who's always struggled with anxiety, and especially since going to that liberal arts school where you had to tiptoe around everything that you wanted to say, and like where I had people straight up lie about things that I said because they wanted to get me in trouble. That's a whole can of worms that I'm not going to get into. But they like reported me to the school for saying things I straight up didn't say because they wanted me to get in trouble. And it's like, if I'm going to get in trouble for stuff I didn't say, it makes me extra nervous about the stuff that I am saying, especially to an audience of so many. But fuck it, that's with the territory. And I feel like my opinions are really well thought through. I'm not trying to shove them down anybody's throat, of course, but I feel confident in a lot of the judgments that I've personally made about the world. I know that I don't know everything, and I'm always willing to learn new information and have my mind changed. But yeah, it's just like, God damn it. I wish that I could just be me and express myself and not have to worry about somebody taking this clip that they disagree with, sharing it on Twitter, and it going viral, and me going through some James Charles bullshit. You know, obviously that's a whole different tier of things. He's a sexual predator. It's a little bit different, just a little. But yeah, it's like this whole cancel culture, and let's make sure that because I disagree with this person, they can't even make a living. They can't even afford to live. They can't make any money. We're going to make it impossible for them to get a job because anytime you Google them, this controversy is going to pop up. It's just like a scary fucking time, man. It's crazy. Okay. Who's your favorite rapper? Tupac, without a doubt. Tupac's my favorite. Biggie's my second favorite. Actually, J. Cole and Biggie might be tied for my second favorite, but Tupac is number one, without a doubt. You guys are so sweet. I love your comments. Why did you move to Florida? Just because there really wasn't anything going on for me in Illinois, basically. I had lived there my entire life. I was living in the Chicagoland area. That was disgusting. I was living in the Chicagoland area, and there was nothing there for me. I mean, there was all my friends and all my family, and that was great, but I fucking hate the weather in Illinois. The weather in Illinois is just total garbage, so I didn't want to deal with that anymore. I got in a car accident 2 winters ago because of the weather, and I was like, that's it, because of the snow. Some guy on the highway, he crossed over into my lane this was on Christmas Eve. He crosses over into my lane, sprays snow all over my windshield. I move over because I'm like, what the fuck is this guy doing? And I had went a little too far into the shoulder, which hadn't been plowed, and I lost traction, was skidding down the highway, literally at one point was going horizontal down the highway, and crashed into the median. I was okay. The car was a little fucked up, but I got it fixed. And I was just like, that's it. I hate winter. But before, I was just kind of being a bitch because it was cold. Now, it's threatening my life, so I'm done with this shit. And I figured that moving to Florida would give me a good opportunity to just sit here and focus on my channel, pumping out content. It's cheap. The cost of living is cheaper, which is great. So I could like save money to move to California eventually, which is where I'll be going this fall most likely, which is pretty cool. I'm very excited about. So yeah, that was pretty much why. Weather and cheap cost of living. I had some buddies, like just out of coincidence, I had two friends who were moving. One friend who lived down here and another friend who was moving down here, and we were all like, my buddy down who was already down here, his lease was up, so it was like, do you want to all move together? K-Mac time, for those of you who remember from the good old days, K-Mac time, my buddy, who's also a YouTuber, he was supposed to move down here with us, and we tried to drag him down here, but he completely flaked, so that was a bummer. But yeah. Why are you going to Cali? Basically, it's just a more gorgeous version of Florida, and there's way more connections and opportunity out there. Hey John, would you consider doing a video on the story of Atlantis? Yes, that is absolutely on my list. And I actually just listened to a lecture or an interview with historian Graham Hancock, he's not a historian. Maybe he is, but he's more of an investigative journalist and history journalist, basically. And he talked a lot about Atlantis, and apparently he's got some really interesting work about how it may have actually been a real city, and where it may have been, and when it may have existed, and all of the reasons why he thinks it was a real place. So, and maybe that it was just like even older than a lot of people realized, which is why there's basically no evidence of it anymore. So yeah, definitely plan on doing Atlantis, and that's where I'm going to start my research. Yeah. Hello, John. Are you okay? I'm doing great. A little stressed, very stressed. I have to film after I get this video done. I have to shower, actually, because I went to the gym before this. And then my buddy called, didn't have time to clean myself up. But I'm doing okay. People are analyzing too freaking much. Don't I know it? Ross, Rachel, Monica, Phoebe, Joey, or Chandler, I would say I'm definitely a Chandler for sure. He's my favorite. And then Joey's my second favorite. I love all the girls. They're all kind of. I really do love all the characters. People like to shit on Ross for some reason. I love Ross. He when I was growing up, he was my favorite character. But I related more with Chandler Bing. So yeah. But man, isn't Rachel just gorgeous? I would contribute my life savings. It would be nothing to her, but I would like sacrifice my life savings and maybe even a leg to marry Jennifer Aniston. I cannot believe that she keeps getting divorces. It's the saddest thing. Do you have affiliate links for ordering the books on Amazon? No, I don't yet. That's on my to-do list. It's one of the many things on my to-do list, including one thing that I want to do is I have messeduporigins.com still powered through Squarespace, and I have so much that I want to add to it, but I just have no time to do it. But one of the things I want to add is a section where I have all of the books I've ever talked about along with an affiliate link. So not only can you find the books that you're interested in, but by purchasing them through the link, you can support the channel. I really need to get on doing that, but as you guys all know, I've got a lot going on right now. So that might be over this summer after my back is fixed situation. What are your thoughts on the results of the Australian election? I have no clue, man. I have no idea. Why politics? No idea. Thanks for answering my question. Don't come to Canada. We use polar bears as carriages. I know y'all aren't that crazy. Sorry, getting some texts. A lot of texts. His uncle, people say I sound like Rose. My 8-year-old daughter Emily asked, "What's your favorite color?" Hello, Emily. My favorite color is blue. I think it's blue. It's always been blue. It's just the varying shades of blue. That's what I need to figure out. Which story by Charles Perrault, the Brothers Grimm or Hans Christian Andersen, that isn't well known in the English-speaking world do you think deserves to be better known? That is a good question. I couldn't say off the top of my head. I do have plans to do some videos on lesser known fables. I need to figure out how exactly I'm going to do that, because it's like how do I want to analyze these stories? Do I want to do a bunch of them in one video? Because if I do that, then I got to shorten them. Do I want to actually, now that I'm thinking about it, a lot of these things, a lot of ideas for videos, I noticed that I have, I'll have a seed of an idea and I won't know what to do with it. And then as soon as I start talking about it with anyone, it's as soon as I have to articulate it and not just leave it in the mess that is my consciousness, I'm like, oh, this could be cool. So I don't know any specific stories off the top of my head, but I have some written down that I want to look into, and I'll probably do a video promoting some of those stories, and then maybe that'll just be a brief summation of 4 or 5 stories that I think are worth checking out, and then I'll do videos actually dedicated to them in the future once you guys are more aware of them, because it's I can't do a video just about the lesser known stories, because it would require as much work as all of the other Messed Up Origins episodes. However, it would not get as many views, and not many people would be interested in it because they haven't heard the story before. So yeah, that's how I plan on doing that. When random people, by the way, I'm going to be ending this at 1:30 p.m. my time, so that's in about 22 minutes. Yeah. When random people ask what you do at parties, what do you tell them? That is a very good question. Sorry, I had to burp again. What I tell people I do, so it depends. It depends on how long I think I'm going to know this person. If I don't know them very well, or if I think I'm not going to be seeing them again, I just tell them that I work for the network that I'm signed with, Frederator Network, because I just do this very long walk around answer of, or I lay out all of the things that I do for YouTube without using the word YouTube. I'm like, oh yeah, I work for this. I'm an independent contractor for this multi-channel network out in California. I don't know if you guys know, but I'm partnered with the Frederator Network, the Frederator production studio, or the Frederator studio. They've made Fairly Odd Parents, Adventure Time, Steven Universe. I think maybe My Life as a Teenage Robot was one as well. I could be wrong about that one though. But I tell people, I'm like, so you ever heard of those shows? Like, well, that studio, the studio that made those shows, has an internet division, and I work for the internet division. What I do is I basically a whole hodgepodge of things. I write scripts, I graphic design, I edit film, I film myself, yada yada. But I just don't say the word YouTube, and they're like, oh, that's really cool. But I've noticed that lately, so like back in the day when I was in high school, I've always felt kind of weird about telling people I do YouTube, because back in high school when I used to make videos that were too edgy for you, people would get offended at them. People would, like, oh my God, you guys have no idea how much drama started in my high school because I made a video making fun of country music. And everybody took it so personally. Like I made fun of people who like country music just a little bit, like nothing super insulting, but I did. And people took it very personally because in the little community that I lived in, where everybody thought the same way, they didn't like being told that they were wrong or anything like that. And the drama was so not worth it. So I just stopped telling people about my videos altogether. And then when I went to college, I knew that I was going to a very sensitive liberal arts school, and I didn't want people to know about my videos, even though it was like cartoon conspiracy stuff. Like, I didn't want to go in, people to see my old videos, and I didn't want people to be like, that's the YouTubing guy on campus. It was like a school of about 4,500 people, so not very big. And I just knew that that would be a really easy way to build up a reputation. And while I'm cool with that now because I'm a professional YouTuber, I didn't know how to feel about it back then. So I've put it off for a long time, but lately I've started just telling people like, yeah, I do YouTube. Here's because what I make, like, as you guys all know, the Messed Up Origins content is so fucking interesting. Like, to me personally, I could not get enough of it. And I wish that I could make more than I do, because I would just indulge in it all day long. So now that I can just tell people what I do YouTube for a living. Here's my content. Also, check out my channel. Look how big it is. And I don't say that. I'll just tell people to check out the channel, and then I say how many subscribers I have, and I let their reaction gauge how much my response. Like, yeah, it's pretty cool. Almost 500,000. It's pretty awesome. So yeah, that's basically my answer. Depending on how long I talk to people, I'll tell them I just work for the studio, or if I think I'll be talking with them for a while, I tell them I do YouTube. It's always hard with talking to females, because I'm like, I don't want to tell this bitch that I do YouTube for a living, but if she comes over, she's going to see my plaque. So what do I do here, It's kind of a funny predicament. But, and also, it's like, I don't know. I'm not the type of person who's like, hey, look at me, look, I'm the YouTube guy. Don't you wanna, ladies? Like, that's not me. It's like, I would rather just earn it and then drop the bomb, have it be a cool surprise. So I just noticed that people start acting differently with me as soon as I tell them that I do YouTube, and it's not necessarily like in a malicious way. It's not like they're, being fake or anything like that. But there's some people just over the long term start to act different. Like, I'll notice that they'll put in a little more effort to reaching out to me. Like, even people from my college who I talk to a little bit here and there, as soon as I went all of my college life, all 4 years, without telling anybody on campus um, that I did YouTube, as long as I could help it. They found out after I was there for about 6 months, my fraternity did. Um, because there was a girl who went to my high school, who went to my college, and she didn't know I didn't want people to know, so she was showing people, yada yada. It's a big thing. But yeah, I just noticed that since I started posting more publicly that I do this for a living, that people that I didn't even talk to are starting to reach out again and be like, so, and they're really supportive. Like, I do appreciate a lot of them, but it's at the same time, it feels a little inauthentic. And I'm like, I'm not trying to make relationships I'm not trying to make relationships because I'm a YouTuber. I'm just trying to be a human being, you know? So I try to keep it separate from my very personal life, but yeah, it's whatever. I'm super proud of what I've accomplished at this point. So if an opportunity presents to flex, I might take it. A little contradictory to some of the stuff I just said, but yeah, I'm all over the place today. It's just my answers are always so circumstantial. Yeah. Who's the best anti-hero character in your opinion? Probably Tony Soprano. If you haven't seen The Sopranos, I highly recommend you watch it. It's definitely my favorite show of all time. Walter White's obviously a great one, but Tony Soprano was the first real anti-hero that people really related to. So, yeah, Tony Soprano. That people really appreciated and they could see his vulnerable. He was the first anti-hero that you saw as a vulnerable person. So he's my favorite for what he did for the anti-hero genre and just how relatable he is. One of my favorite quotes from him is, "I've got the world by the balls and I can't stop feeling like a fucking loser." And that's like relatable sometimes, you know? Sometimes where I'm just like feeling down about myself and I'm like, what the fuck are you thinking, dude? Like, life is good. You are doing exactly what you want to with your life. What is the issue? So I always think about that quote and I'm like, get it together, man. You mentioned the Brothers Grimm brother and sister before. The Brothers Grimm's brother and sister before. That would qualify for what I asked about before and make a good Halloween video. The Brothers Grimm's brother and sister. I personally don't remember mentioning that, but I believe you. I'd have to reflect. I'd have to go and watch back and see what you're talking about. What did you go to school for? Never mind, you just said it. I don't know if I said specifically what I went to school for. I started off going there for exercise science because I didn't want to be a physical therapist, but I really liked working out and studying the human body. And my family was this whole time has been like, you need to do something traditional, something reliable, yada, yada, yada. And at a certain point, I was like, I took a couple exercise science classes, the basic ones, and then I saw that later on down the line I was going to have to take physics and 2 semesters of fucking physics and then 2 semesters of calculus. And I know I told you guys in the last AMA, like a cocky douchebag, that my reading level in first grade was a 5th grade reading level. Well, to this day, my math level is still at a 5th grade level. My intelligence with math, it's not good at all. I can do very, very basic algebra. Like if I can't do it in my head, I have a hard time doing it. That's kind of the problem. So it's kind of weird. It's like I can do up to basic algebra in my head, but as soon as I have to really start taking notes and shit, and we're dealing with imaginary numbers, nah. So I decided to switch from exercise science. I did business for a while because I figured, well, I want to hustle. I'm down for a business degree, and figured I'd learn some good stuff for YouTube, like what to do with this. And it turns out I didn't. Like, it was just a business degree's nothing, basically. So I got to the end of that, actually, and then I'm an idiot who saved all of my math classes for the end of the degree. So I had 2 semesters of business calc. I had 2 semesters of economics, micro and macro, and 2 semesters of accounting. And it wasn't going to happen. So I just bailed on that, basically. And I was getting a minor in communications. So I figured I might as well just switch over to that. That's what I did. And a communications degree, it's weird because it's not very hard. It's not challenging in the like, I don't understand this sense, but it was a lot of work in terms of writing and research, and it made doing YouTube at the end of that really hard because it was like either I'm on the computer writing scripts or I'm on the computer writing papers, and it was awful. And there's like no way to excuse me, there was no way to market that. Like I was going to interviews telling them I got a communications degree, and they were like, so yeah. Do you think huge corporations are ruining YouTube and the rest of the planet? Is it time for a revolution? I do think that huge corporations are ruining YouTube. They are stealing my content, as you guys, some of you should know. Not as much anymore, but like I'm seeing these giant channels use messed up origins in the title, and like, hey, some of their videos are different than mine, but like, hey, you're saying messed up origins and you're talking about Disney characters and villains in Disney movies and fairy tales. Like, come on. I know what you're doing. I know that you know I exist. I'm all for search engine optimization. Like, I know that there are, like, I make mythology explained content, and I know that there's multiple channels that use the word mythology, the phrase mythology explained, but like in their titles and stuff and in their series names. But like that's pretty elementary, you know. There's blank blank explained all the time. So like if I couldn't really get mad about Disney explained. Fables explained I'd be a little more upset about because I don't know of anyone who does Fables explained but me. But whatever. But then when I see messed up origins, and I'm like, okay, clearly, first off, I do this better than you do. No doubt about that. I do it way better than your whole team and your whole shitty studio does. So back up off my territory, first off. Second, like, cite your sources. None of them cite their sources. And as soon as like one video with that in the title goes viral, then they start pumping them out. And it's like, dude, this is my shit. What are you doing? You know, it's like, well, these big corporations are crushing smaller creators. That was what happened with the whole theories thing. Like, I love MatPat. I think he's great for the community. Like, he's one of the biggest channels out there that I think undeniably cares about the smaller guy and gal. But, you know, he has a whole fucking company based off of making these fan theories. And it's like, how was I going to be able to compete with that, you know? Like, they can just make a new theory every single day. And the thing with the messed up origins is they can do it every single day, but they're not going to do it in my style, and they're not going to do it as well as I did. But the theories are just theories, you know? It's like there's only one way to go about doing it. Like, you have to present the theory in a certain way, in a certain order, usually, too. So, like, yeah, it sucks, man. It really sucks. And I say that as somebody who wants to turn my channel into a corporation, not a massive one. I mean, ideally, like a big one. But I say that as someone who wants to, let me rephrase that. I say to somebody who wants to turn my channel into a business with multiple other creators working with me and even hosting some stuff with me every once in a while and helping me write, research, yada, yada, yada. It's just frustrating. I want the smaller guy to just have more luck. I'm sick of people, not just me, but like people in general, having to worry about somebody being out to get them and that kind of thing. Like, you know, I made the video about the one channel that was stealing my messed up origins content, and then immediately the lawyer who had previously ignored my emails suddenly reaches back out and is like, you need to take this down. dot, dot, dot. There are serious legal ramifications for what you are doing and saying, dot, dot, dot. Like, fuck yourself, guy. Go fuck yourself, actually. You know what you're doing. Your company knows what they're doing. I just can't do anything about it. Go fuck yourself. And at the time, that was like when my channel was just starting to make a comeback. It was the phoenix was rising from the ashes, so to speak. So I was still a baby phoenix at the time. I wasn't the almost full-fledged phoenix that I am today. So it was like super stressful. And like even now, if they wanted to, I mean, they couldn't legally do anything to me now, but if I like called them out again and they threatened me, like what would my options be? I'd probably have to let it go. You know, I'd have to be like, all right, like it's either this or I get sued into oblivion or charges pressed against me. And like, even if I'm right, that doesn't mean I will win the case. And I don't want to pay for all these legal fees and yada, yada. So it's a scary time. I really do hate that there's so many big corporations on YouTube, and I hate, it would be fine if they just made their content, but they're predatory on top of it. So it's disgusting and I hate it. I really hope one day to have a large enough presence here that I can actually help out smaller creators in more ways than one, and really help them protect themselves and become larger creators. At what point did you realize, yeah, I've made it. It's such an awesome achievement. That's a good question. I haven't really thought that yet at all. I appreciate what I've got. I know that I have achieved a lot, but in terms of making it, I don't know if I'll ever feel like I've made it, man. It's it's kind of a weird thing, honestly. Like, I was actually thinking, it's weird that you say that because I was thinking about that today on the way back from the gym, maybe yesterday. But just like this weird, because I was thinking about how I wanted to get to 500,000 subscribers by the time June came around. And it doesn't look like that's going to happen unless something changes and I start going viral. But I think I will by the end of June, but I don't think by June. And that's really disappointing, but I feel like I could do it if I just started pumping out content again, like every single week. Like I mean, I have been doing that, but like the week where I hit like 5 videos in a row that were all messed up origins, that was a really stressful 5 weeks, and I don't know. It was kind of a blur. And I did climb a lot, but I had this realization that was like, all right, I'm really stressed out here. I'm not going out with my boys. I'm not really playing video games. I'm just kind of working all the time, all around the clock. And it's only, as I get bigger, it's only going to get more intense, you know? So, and I just kind of realized, like, if I told myself last year if I told myself last year where I am today, like in a year, you'll be at 489,000 subscribers. I would be super pumped and I would be super thankful. And I'd be like, shit, this must be it. This must be like, I'm finally doing it. I'm finally a full-time professional YouTuber. This is awesome. And I guess in a way I have achieved that. And that is like, in a way I've made it. That is making it. But that's not the end goal. So I don't feel like I've made it. That was the goal, but the finish line, the higher you climb, the higher up your finish line goes. The longer the race is, the farther back it gets pushed. Because you're just like, holy shit, I can keep going. What's next? What's the next goal? You know, as somebody like me who's always real goal-oriented, like reading, like, for example, reading books. I love reading books, but I also love finishing books. And I love playing video games, playing through the story and watching good movies, but I love finishing them. I love knowing the story and having experienced the full thing. And with this, there is no, I mean, it's great, but I feel like sometimes I miss out on certain experiences or appreciating certain things. So I don't know. Sorry, that again, kind of an all over response to your question, but Yeah, I am very thankful for what I've got, and I do realize that I have made it in a certain respect, but still don't feel that way. All right, I can take one last question, and then I'm going to get out of here. This has been awesome, you guys. Thank you so much. Like, I've had an actual blast. I was honestly, like, leading up to the stream, in the back of my head, I was like, there's a real good chance that no one's going to be here. And I'm going to be sitting here talking to myself and have nothing to talk about. But this has actually flown by. So I'm really, really, really excited for the next one. I was initially planning on doing a highlight reel of what this stream has been, and maybe I will, but my responses have been all over the place, and it would just be probably a mess. So, yeah. All right, if I'm not getting any more questions, then I might just say fuck it. We shall see. Got 12 people sitting in here right now. I have an excellent connection. That's great. Pristine quality. Any last questions? It's 1:29 p.m. If it gets asked at 1:30, I'm out. I've been playing a lot of Red Dead Online lately. Actually, not a lot, but I played it for the past couple days. It's been pretty fun. Now that, like, kind of fun. It's fun when you got people to play with. Also, Fallout 76 has been great. My buddy's texting me that, so that's why I just brought it up. He's like, you should listen to this when you play online, or when you're playing on your own. Listen to these sweet Western jams. Cool. Yeah, I'll do that. Have you seen all the Harry Potter movies? Of course, and I've read all the books. I haven't read all the books since like junior high, and I haven't read the first 4 since like 2nd grade. So I definitely need to check them out again. It's been 17 years. It's been 18 years since I read the books. All right. When is the next stream? Has anyone stolen your heart? Wow, Jennifer Aniston has, and a couple of cosplayers, but I get my heart right back when I find out they have boyfriends, because apparently, like, almost every attractive remote internet celebrity has a boyfriend, and it's annoying, or a husband, or a fiance, and it's like, hey, you haven't met me yet. You haven't met me yet. Hold your horses on the whole committing for the rest of your life thing. But on a serious context, no, no one's stolen my heart. I haven't dated anybody in a while, and I'm just currently playing the field. I'm just working on being the best version of myself that I can be, and keeping an eye out for the opportunity that presents itself. And I've noticed that since climbing up the YouTube ranks, and gaining some confidence, and just becoming an all-around more interesting, knowledgeable person, conversational, charismatic person, the whole love thing, also being like a 6 out of 10 at least. Like, as soon as you're 1 deviation above average, you're in pretty good shape. So if you're a cool person, real person, you have some good luck. I think I'm stealing more hearts than I have had mine stolen by. That was phrased wrong, but you know what I mean. All right. Thank you guys so much. Oh, God, I wish I could put into words how much I love you. Thank you all so much for watching. You're my favorite people. I mean, the whole Solo fam's amazing, but, like, it's really nice getting to talk to the most hardcore of the fan base who has watched my videos so consistently and for so long. Thank you so much to Heidi. Thank you, Marie. Thank you, Sid. Thank you, Tyrannosaurus Rex. Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Hope. Thank you, anybody else? Simon. Thank you, Jasmine, Dez, Adam. God, I recognize all your names from the... that's cool, man. It's really, really cool. I've got a lot of your names not memorized, but familiarized in my head from doing the credits and writing all my thank you notes and stuff like that. And it's just been great talking to you, and I seriously appreciate it. I'm going to be posting a podcast on Tuesday, I believe. I've got to film today, edit today, edit tomorrow, edit Monday, hopefully upload Monday, and then immediately after that, I'll be diving into the podcast, and they should have that up Tuesday for you patrons, and that's going to, all of you guys that are currently here in the $3 tier, but I'm moving the podcast down to be accessible to everybody at the $1 tier just because I want it to be accessible to as many people as possible. And so many people contributed $1 after seeing that podcast that it's like, they heard it, they knew they weren't going to get access to it, and they still helped out anyway. And that just means the world to me, and I feel like they deserve more than just a little thank you note, So once again, thank you guys so much. I will be talking to you again very soon. I'll see you this week with Alibaba and the 40 Thieves, the next week with the Origins of Cinderella revisited, the week after that with maybe a tier list, and the week after that with another mess. So much content. All right, I'll talk to you guys soon. Love you so much. And remember, John shot first. I tried to end the stream without breaking eye contact, and it didn't work. See ya.